Yeah, we are going with exception handling. So you got the idea about what is exception? Exception means it's a runtime error. Okay, handling means it's a mechanism of handling the runtime error so that your program will not terminate, and at the same time you will be fixing the error. That entire process is called as exception handling. Exception handling will deal with two things. Exception handling will deal with two things. One, it will not, advantage of doing exception handling, not to let the program terminate, and also you can fix the problem. Two things, these are the advantage of exception handling. Clear? Fine. So yesterday means Java is giving you immense support for this. We have only covered two keywords. We have to cover still three more keywords. We have only covered try and catch. We have to still see finally throw and throws. So then you'll understand how some excellent support is Java giving to you. Fine. Then next, one more thing what you have to understand is, say, always try and catch should be written only in methods. That you understand. Okay, you should not write it inside the class level. See this. It is not a member of the class. So try catch. See here, I am writing try and I am writing catch. This is illegal syntax in Java. You are writing int I. Okay, that is instance variable. You are writing, you can write a constructor. All that is okay, but try catch is not member of a class. It is used where? Only in method. This is wrong syntax. You compile it, you will get error. So try catch should not, because these are not members of the class. Okay, this should be used only in methods. Can you guess why you will use try catch only in methods? See, this is valid syntax. In M1 I am writing try catch. Understood? If you write try catch in M1 it is valid. But if you write it at the class level, it becomes invalid. Are you following now? So this is, just again say this. Try, see void M1. So this is valid. Int I is equal to 0. All this is okay. But try catch should be written in only methods. Why? Can you guess? It is very simple, man. Errors occur where? In methods. You have to handle it inside a method only. It's very simple. Understood? So you'll be handling it inside methods only. So if the method, if you're not handling the error in your method or exception in your method, okay, that will be given to the caller. Okay, are you clear this? And yesterday we discussed some important differences. Difference between exception and error. What is an exception? It's an error which can be handled. What is the error? It's a see, both are runtime errors. Exception and error both are runtime errors. But exception is a runtime error which can be handled. Error is a runtime error which cannot be handled. Now, how do you know whether that a runtime error can be handled or not? Java is giving the message. When it terminates, it will give the message. This is exception. This is error. So based on that, you can decide whether to handle it or not to handle it. You don't have to worry. So, but in other languages, you will never know. Error will occur. Program will terminate. And later on you will only get confused whether that can be handled or not handled. But in Java it is very clear whether it can be handled or not handled. JVM itself will give the message. When you are not handling it, it will be printing the default message now. So that itself will give the message to you. So based on that we decide whether to handle it or not. Since yesterday we are seeing all exception, that is why I went on writing what? Try catch. If anywhere I had seen error, I cannot write try catch. Error will come next. Are you clear? But both are runtime errors. But runtime errors which can be handled are called as exception, and runtime errors which cannot be handled are called as error. Java is clearly classifying it. Okay, there is so much into Java now. Okay, in fact this is the easiest language. In other languages these topics are very, very tough. Very tough. Okay, doing all this is very, very tough in other languages. Now, the thing is, it's high time you start coding now. Many people are only referring to videos, okay, and all that. But that's fine. But it's high time you start coding now, because without coding nothing you can learn. Because see, throughout your engineering life, most of you come from engineering background. Hardly one day your code sat and coded. And with that level of coding, you cannot work and survive in the industry. So it's mandatory that you have to code every day now, because based on your coding only you'll get the next idea. Because we have already started writing logics now. We are seeing how to write the method. Okay, till now what we are focusing? See, we are focusing on, see, till now from the beginning till the end I am teaching you only how to write methods. So I told you how to give names. Okay, then it means in Java, where do you write the method? That's what I told you. Write it in what? First, class. Okay, that you should know now. Which method you'll write in which class, because you'll be having many methods. And many methods in which class you'll keep. You have to organize it. So you're going to write a method. That decision you have to take. When you write a method, in which class you'll put. That's first decision. Second decision, whether it's going to be a concrete method or abstract method. Correct? Huh? Then after that, you have to give a name. Yes or no? See the decisions you have to take for writing logic. Okay. One is you have to write a method in which class will keep. Second, whether you'll write abstract method or concrete method. Abstract method when you will write when you do not want to do any implementation. Concrete method when you want to write when you will do implementation. Okay, then we're coming to the method signature. What is the name? What is the parameter you'll have? Okay, then what is the return type you'll have? Then what is the logic? Then will come logic. So till now I have completed only this. What? Where to write the method, how to write the method, what name you should give, what parameter you should have, what return type you should have, whether it should have a body or not, and finally whether you're going to make it as static or not. You'll make it as static when the method doesn't use the instance variable value. Generally we end up making the method as static. If it is not processing the instance variable value, we'll make it as static. All this you know. Now we are coming to the point of how to write logic inside the method. Now it's final now. So you have to code a lot. Okay, and from your engineering background, if you come and tell, okay, now I am unable to code, that's your mistake now. Okay, so you have to code a lot and then learn this. Okay, in other institutes what they do? One simple tuss example they'll show you and say what? Course is over. With course you will never get a job. If you want to go more deeper, I'll go. So I'm taking it to the best level where you will not face problems throughout your life in learning Java. In other institutes what they do, they'll finish it fast, but you will have to take full pain in learning Java. You have to learn again, but I'm telling you don't learn, fully I'm covering it for you. Doubts here and there will come. They'll be only resolved with what? Further classes and with your coding. Any of your doubts, okay, will be resolved only in two ways. One, further classes, means next class it will be resolved. Or two is coding. Okay. So don't make it a habit like what? I have paid money, I'll ask doubt. That should be not be your intention. Why should you ask doubt? Really some problem is there? Yeah, then you can ask the doubt. But you have a wrong habit. What? I have paid money, let me ask doubt. That is wrong intention. So ask doubts for what? Purpose of learning, not for the purpose of what? Asking question. For the purpose of asking question, don't ask doubt. Okay, really when you get doubts, ask. Honestly, we'll be clearing all your doubts. And remember, any of your doubt, answer is only one simple thing. What you know? One example. For any of your question, for any of your doubt, answer is one simple example, nothing else. Understood? So because, and now you have started getting doubts because the reason is you have started understanding something. Okay, and throughout your life you have not understood anything, that's why you are not getting doubts. Simple as that. In other institutes you will never get doubt. Why? You will not understand anything. Simple. But here why you are getting doubt? Because something you are understanding. So these are the differences. So balance. Okay. And further you progress, it will be beneficial to you. Coding is mandatory. Without coding even I can't do anything here. So these basics are clear. Now we'll start using the library. Almost all this is last. Which one? Exception handling is last. Next, whatever you are going to learn, input, output, multi-threading, whatever you learn, okay, it will all come from the library. Everything will come from the library. So we'll start using the library extensively. This is almost all the last topic of Java. Very few things are there. If we complete this, Java will be over now. Clear? So next, we'll start off with what now? The next keyword called as finally. Understood? We'll be seeing the next keyword called as finally. Coding is highly mandatory. Without coding, by only seeing video, by sitting in class, nobody will learn Java. Yeah? Okay. Finally is the next keyword we are going to see. There are five keywords now related to exception handling. Try, catch, throw, finally, throws, throw. So we'll go with finally today. So first thing, see, finally is a keyword in Java. Basically, so we have to learn two concepts in finally. It is a keyword in Java and keyword and in Java and related to exception handling. This is the first point. Okay. So from the interview point of view, these 3 points are very essential. Okay. Then finally block is guaranteed to execute. Guaranteed to execute whether an exception occurs or not, whether an exception occurs or not. Okay. Third thing, finally, block is used for clearing or releasing anything, clearing or releasing method level resources. This is the very, very important point now. Why do you use finally? So this point you understood. Almost all, the first point is almost all clear for you. So you will definitely ask me what is the second and third point. Answer to that is again what? Examples. So all examples are what? Concept based, not output based. Any example you see is going to be concept based but not output based. Concept based means what? They will contain some theme. Output based means what? Simply output. Yeah, output. That is different. Concept based means where you learn something. Done. So then see, these 2 points I have to give plenty of examples. Initially I'll start off with this. Which one? First I'll cover this point. Finally is guaranteed to execute whether an exception occurs or not occur. Then I'll come out to this point, why it is used. First we'll see how finally works. See how finally works, we'll study first. There are 2 questions you'll get. See, this is the answer for how. This is the answer for what. What is finally? What is finally? It is a keyword in Java and related to exception handling. How to use finally? How does it get executed? All those questions, how questions will be answered in this one. Now, why do you use finally? This is the answer for what? Why? So what? Almost all over, done, leave it. Okay, we'll go with how now. How to use finally. Understood? So how to use finally now? Yes, as you know now, see, you are going to have, this point I'll come, third point I'll come later. Void M1. Method is there. So see, inside the method, okay, this is one option. Try, catch, and finally you'll use. 1 second. Yeah. See, this is the combination. One combination of try, which one will be? Which one? This is one combination of try, catch, finally. You'll use all the 3 keywords together generally. Okay, this is one option. Okay. So first I'll cover this. Then, you can, second would be, you'll use, 1 second. See, these 3 things, how you use. Try catch is one combination. 1 second. Try catch is one combination. The second combination would be, it will be written inside a method, understand that. Since I'm not having space, I'm just removing it. The second option would be try, catch, and finally. See, the first one is only try catch, yesterday which we learnt. The combination of these 3. Okay, so these 3 keywords you always use like this. One you'll use try catch, the other way you'll be using is try catch finally, and the third one you'll use is try with only finally. This is how you use it. These 3 keywords you use like this, and obviously they'll be in methods, no doubt about it. These are blocks. These are blocks and they'll be put in methods only. So yesterday we saw this combination, yes or no? Which combination? This combination we covered yesterday. So today I'll next teach you try catch finally. Okay, I'll give you some examples on this. After we understand examples, good examples on this, some 3-4 examples I have to give, then I'll come to this topic, try finally. And after we complete all this, then we are going to learn why is finally going to be used. Okay, and look, when you use try, it is mandatory to use what? Either catch or finally or both. If you use try, it is mandatory to use what? Either catch, one option, or finally the third option, or both. This is how you have to use. So try has to be used with try, which one? Catch or finally or both. Okay. Next, ulta also you see. If you want to use catch, try is mandatory. If you want to use finally, try is mandatory. You cannot use it only alone. Only try I can't write. Only catch I can't write. Only finally I can't write. It's a combination. You have to use it in this particular way itself. Are you clear with all this? So we'll go with the first example now. So I'll be going with this one. So now see, this is the point we'll be seeing now. The second point. Finally block is guaranteed to execute whether an exception occurs or not. We'll be seeing plenty of examples on this point now. Understood? So more examples here, we'll see, more doubts will start getting clear. As simple as that. Okay, that's it. So we'll come up straight off with the examples now. See this, supposingly, first we'll see one basic simple example of which one? Try catch finally. Same using try block. But where am I using it? Inside main method, no? Carefully observe that. Generally in any institute you go, any place you go, in colleges also, everybody will be teaching you what? Try catch finally in main only. Initially I will also teach you in main. After main I will move to other methods where you write logics. Understood? So this is the basic what they cover. Okay. So this basic anybody will know now. You also know, I also know. So you are paying money for what now? Learning some extra thing, not for this simple example. So carefully observe now. SOP begin try. Okay. Z is equal to x by y. Okay. SOP. Result of division is plus Z. Fine. If you want, you can put more SOP. See how much SOPs you put, that is better here, because here flow will get altered. Flow will be altering. Understood? So it's how much of SOPs you put, because something will execute, something will be skipped. That's why it will be altering. So if you want to really understand the flow, put SOPs, maximum SOPs. Try, catch. Which exception? You know now. I'm writing it in shortcut. What? Arithmetic exception. Okay. So once it is done, next part. Finally, SOP you can print anything here, and you know, see, catch block is used to catch the problem and fix the error. That is the reason you will be using catch block. Clear? Fine. Finally, now that's what we are adding, new thing. So it's also on block. It's also on block. Simply write SOP I am finally. Just see. Now see this, the program. Okay, then you can print on last line SOP end main. Main started, so all this is there where now? Inside the main method. What I have written is there inside the main method. See now program starts off execution. Now x and y, x value is what? 10, y value is what? 2. Compilation, no problem. When you compile there are no errors. Okay, so x and y, when you during runtime x and y they come into existence, you are dividing, then what will you do? Sorry, I wrote of division here. Sorry, I'll write it here. Just remove this method line. Just remove that line. Okay, so try begins, z is equal to x by y. What happens? Division is happening now. Once the division happens, now no exception occurs. Yes or no? Error is not occurring. Runtime error is not occurring because you are dividing it correctly. So when the error doesn't occur, all the statements in the try block will execute. You know the flow now. After the try block, control is not going to catch. Yes or no? After the try, control will not go to catch. Why? There is no exception occurring, so it will not be caught. Okay, this is the exception handler. If at all some exception occurs here, then it will be caught. So right now it's not occurring. So then what happens? After try, it will go to finally. From try it will go to what? Finally. So from try block, after the execution of final, it will come to finally. Finally it will complete, and then the program execution will continue. Understood? Fine. Next, you see one more point now. See here, if an exception occurs, if I change this value to 0, here exception occurs here or no? So from here where it will shift? Catch. From catch, you know, after executing catch, where it will shift? Finally. So this is one option, this is the second option. Means what I am trying to say is whether an exception occurs or doesn't occur, finally is guaranteed to execute. That is the power of finally. It has got tremendous ability. Okay, first see how it works, then we learn why we use it in programming. Understood? Whether an exception occurs or not, definitely finally is going to execute now. So you'll see this output now. So once you see this output, you'll understand. Okay. I increase the font size. Nice try. Okay, see this. Okay, finally, demo 1. See, this is the program. I added it here itself. It's neatly organized. Try catch examples what you saw yesterday are here. Now the finally examples. Clear? So now finally we are seeing. Finally demo 1 is what I opened. Yes, see this now. Begin main. Int x, fine. So x and y value are what? 10 and 2. So definitely exception will not occur. And you will see catch block is not executed. But definitely finally is executed. See the output. First concentrate on the execution of finally. First see whatever happens finally is getting executed. So begin main. So main begins execution. Then it will come to begin try. Result of division. This try block has completed execution. See begin try, end try finishes execution. Then catch is not executed. Inside catch did it print? No. But inside finally got executed and end of main gets executed. Yeah. Let me create an exception now. So I will create an exception. I will divide it by 0. So now see the output. Begin main, begin try. Begin main, fine. Begin try, fine. But these two statements are not executed now. Yes or no? These two statements are not executed. But catch gets executed. The control is skipped because an object got created now. Which object got created? An exception object. Runtime error occurred. So once the runtime error occurred, what did I do? I caught it inside the method. Once I catch it inside the method, fine. Catch block will catch the problem. Okay, or error. Okay. And if interested, you can write the logic to fix the error. That and all leave now. Just concentrate on what? Finally. But exceptions occurred, but still what has happened? Finally. Yesterday we learned how to write, how to write catch. Today I completely focus on only what? Finally. Understood? Finally is getting executed. Okay. So just understand what code you want is subject to exception, you will put it in try block. Then in catch block what you write? You will write the code to catch the problem and you will be writing the code to fix the problem. In finally what code we will write we will see, but whether an exception occurs or not, it is guaranteed to execute. Are you clear with this? Exception occurs also it's executing, doesn't occur also it will execute. Anyway, this is a normal program what you see throughout your life or what? Finally, here it doesn't make difference. From now what we start learning finally makes the difference. Now I'll give you terrific examples on finally. These things you will have never seen. Understood? So we are going to see now the power of finally. Up to here anybody will teach you. Any institute you take, any book you take, this is a common story. Okay. But let us see the power of finally now, why it is used and all that I'll start telling you now. Okay. Anyway, we saw the effect of finally in main method. That what? Everybody has seen it. We'll see the power of finally in what? Other methods. There you'll start exactly understanding the power of finally. In other methods. Means, because you'll never, why I'm telling other methods? Because we never write logic where? In main method. Obviously we always write logic where? Other methods. So that is where you have to learn how to write finally. Understood? That is where you have to learn how to write finally. So let's see. Shall I clear this? Any doubts you're having? No doubts now? Exception occurs or not? It is guaranteed to execute. Now very interesting flow we'll start seeing. AE means arithmetic exception, just understand. So class test. There is one class called as test. It is having what now? One M1 method where you are writing a logic for what? Division. Okay, let's see now. The client code I'll write here. Says I want to divide two numbers now. Example, I'll get two values. Int A is equal to 10. Int B is equal to 2. To divide, what will I do? Hello H is equal to new hello. I'll not write the logic because logic is already there. I'll just invoke the method. Yes or no? Somebody is writing the logic, what will you do? You'll just use it. So obviously you created the object, you're calling the method now. A and B. What happens now? You're sending the values, arguments. The value of A and B is given to X and Y. No problem now. A is what? 10. B is what? 2. Same value is given to X and Y. It is dividing. No exception occurs. Catch is not executed. Finally gets executed. End of M1 also gets executed. Everything works perfect. Any questions in this flow? No questions. Okay. Now, supposing the value of B is 0. Now see the flow. Comes, here what happens? Exception occurs. Error has occurred. So immediately when the error occurs, Java what it will do? It will create an object representing the error. So which object is created this time? Arithmetic exception, because that is the class which represents this problem. Immediately control shifts to what? Catch. This statement is skipped now. It will not execute. From here directly it comes to what? Catch. If at all you want, you fix the problem, all that you do. But after catch, definitely what will execute? Finally will execute. Understood? So whether an exception occurs or not, it is guaranteed to execute now. 100% guaranteed to execute. Are you clear with this? Okay. So here also it doesn't make any big difference. Yes or no? Very simple. Same code. What did I do? I was writing it in main. I have written it in which one? This one. So let us see the output of this first. Then we'll discuss more on this. Okay. So first let's see this normal execution. Are you clear with this now? After this I start going more deeper. After this output I start going more deeper into finally. Up till here you should be very clear. If you are having any questions, ask. See, I will need this code. Okay. What I have written on the board, I need it. Just manage. I cannot clear and write it because there will be altering many things there. See now the same code. Now let's see. This is the same code what I have written there. Okay, then one more is main. Main will call it now with what? 10 and 2 values. Main is going to call with 10 and 2 values. Let's see what happens when you call it with 10 and 2 values. See, test t is equal to new test. You are calling the method m1. It comes here. You are giving the value what? 10 and 2. It begins the execution. See. Begin main, begin M1. M1 has begun execution. Yes or no? You called M1, no? You called M1, so that's why it gets executed. And after that, inside finally, say inside begin M1. 1 second. Inside try, and result of division is what? 5. Okay, then catch block is not executed. No, check out. Is catch block getting executed? No, because exception has not occurred. Then what? Finally has got executed. Then end of M1 also gets executed. Are you clear? Okay. Supposingly I'll cause an exception 0. I'm passing what? 0. Still finally is guaranteed to execute. See inside try, but result of division it is not printing. See there? Is it printing this output? Immediately when the exception occurs there, it will shift to what? Catch. The below statement below the exception is not getting executed. And catch will execute. Inside catch it is printing. After catch, inside finally is getting executed. Then end of M1 gets executed. Are you clear with this? Do you have any questions here? So whether an exception occurs or not, finally is guaranteed to what? Execute. Yes or no? Yes. Now See, I'll remove finally. We'll see the difference. I'm removing the finally block. Now we'll see. I'm removing the finally block. Do you think will there be any difference? This is program execution, man. Line by line you should know now whether it's going to execute or not. What I have done is, I have removed what? Just I am removing the finally block. See here now. I am removing the block. So there is one statement now. Will it execute or not? Whether an exception occurs also, it will execute. If it doesn't occur also, it will execute now. Means which one? Concentrate on this statement. Whether an exception occurs also, now also it will execute. If it is not happening also, it will execute. Then why should I write it in finally? Question will definitely come. Now check this out. Okay, what I will do, exception will not occur now, or whether it will occur. But still the statements inside what you had written inside finally will be, not only one, you can write more statements. It is guaranteed to execute. Then what is the use of writing finally? Question comes. This is where your first question starts coming. Understood? The first question which arises in finally is, I am not writing finally now, but it is executing. Yes or no? See the output. Clear? You follow now what I have done? I am commenting. I will remove this. Finally I will remove and it will still execute. Delay. So the flow would be this actually. See this. If exception occurs, where it will be got? Here. After catching, what will happen? The statement, it's treated as a normal statement, will execute. If exception occurs. If it doesn't occur, catch will not execute. But still these two statements are executed. Are you getting the flow now? If exception occurs also, doesn't occur also. These two statements are guaranteed to execute. So that's what I want to show you now. Clear? So then definitely your questions will be, why should I write finally inside that? Means that statement inside the finally block. Because see, one statement is already there. Which one? End of M1. End of M1 is there outside what? Finally. Whether an exception is occurring also, it is executing. Whether an exception is not occurring also, it is executing. Are you clear? Let's see this now. Output. See this, begin main, begin M1. 1 second, I have commented or not? No, I have not commented. Just I will remove this now. And now see this. Exception is occurring or not? Yeah, now it is occurring. But still see. Begin main. Sorry, begin main, yeah. Then begin M1. Inside try. But after that statement, this statement is skipped now. Then it will come to what? Catch. It's printing inside catch. But after catch, you can see all the statements are getting executed. It's a normal execution flow, man. Exception is occurring now, but still it is that statement inside that block got executed. So still, now see I'll send 2. Now whether an exception occurs or not, still it is getting executed. Still you see the output of what? See begin main, inside try, result of division fine. See catch block did not execute. Directly what got executed? After catch, all the things are getting executed. Now why should I write the statements inside the finally block is the question. Are you following now? Okay, now here what happened was, what you have to understand is, see this is normal execution. Okay, see here problem occurred. Once the problem occurs in your method, what happens? Exception object will be created. Once you catch it, you know what happens. All the statements after catch will get executed now inside your method. Your method is not going to terminate. If an exception occurs in your method, okay, it is a method which terminates first. Okay, it has occurred. Method was about to terminate, but what did you do? You caught the exception, so it will not terminate now. So method execution continues normally. Method execution continues normally, and it will come to what? These two statements and it will print. Yes or no? Same thing happened. But by chance, if I write it, so now we'll start understanding here. By chance, if I don't catch it with arithmetic exception, I'll catch it with what? Array index out of bound exception. I know very well array index out of bound is not occurring, but assume that I forgot to write what? Arithmetic exception. Assume that I forgot to write. Now you see what will happen. Okay, exception occurs. That time what will happen? Exception object has been created. So it will check whether you are handling it in the same method or not. Yes or no? It will go to the first catch. Arithmetic array index out of bound cannot catch what? Arithmetic exception. So if you are not catching it, these statements are skipped now. Yes or no? These statements are skipped and the control will go to what? Caller method. So is this statement getting executed this time? Yes or no? But I want that statement to be executed. So this is where the power of what comes? Finally comes. So sometimes what will happen? You will not be writing the correct catch by mistake or something like that. Understood? So that time what happens? When you don't write the correct catch, definitely it will execute and then it will move out. Understood? If you put it in finally, it will definitely execute and then come out. Control is going to come out. From where it will come out? See, control is definitely going to come out. From where? From here, if you are not catching it, it will go to the first call because it's of type what now? Arithmetic exception. Since it's of type arithmetic exception, it will come here. You're not catching it. So if you're not catching it inside the method, definitely you know the flow now. What happens? Comes to the caller. There also you're not handling. Where it will go? JVM. That will happen because you're not catching the arithmetic exception. That all is that flow is okay. That flow you know, it's normal. But the problem is these statements are not getting executed. Yes or no? So that is when it becomes important. If I write finally now, definitely it is guaranteed to execute. This is the first condition what you have to understand. Means when you are writing try catch finally, even if you don't write the correct kind of catch, still finally is guaranteed to execute. This is the first point. Okay, if correct corresponding catch block is not written, still finally is guaranteed to execute. This is the first benefit of what? Final. See this flow now. See now, I am catching it with what? Yes, you might have the question, why should I write array index out of bound? In simple examples you will not understand. What I am trying to say is, by chance if you are not having what? By chance if you are not writing arithmetic, you forgot something like that, some problem. But still what is happening? See here, first I will show you without finally. First I will show you without finally. See this output now. Exception is not occurring. If exception is not occurring, no issue. Both the statements will execute because catch will not execute and these statements will execute. You should know how the method gets executed, man. It's very simple. See this, begin main, begin M1, inside try, catch is not getting executed. Since error did not occur, the execution inside your method continues. The execution inside your method continues. So all the statements in M1 method complete execution and then control will come back to main method. Are you understanding the flow? Are you understanding the flow? Okay. By chance an exception occurs. You see inside finally is also getting executed. End of M1. These two statements are getting executed. But if an exception occurs, now you see the difference. See begin main fine, then begin M1 fine, try fine. Once try occurs, what happened? Exception occurred here. Where it is occurring? This line. So from there where it will come? From there it will immediately come to what? It will come to the catch. It will see the exception handle, but it cannot handle it. So since it cannot handle, these statements are skipped. Immediately the method gets terminated. Your M1 method stops execution. If you are not handling the exception in your method, the method stops execution. So when does the method stop execution? When the exception is occurring and you are not handling it, the method stops execution, control comes back to the caller. So once it comes back to the caller, fine, that is okay, it will execute. But these two statements are not executed. Notice that, see the output. Begin M1 inside try, did it get executed? No. So from there where it comes? To the caller. Who is the caller? Main, see there. This is main. So which line error occurred? This line. It has come here only. But did you handle it? No. That's why even end main is not getting executed. Because it's going outside main method. It is going outside method. M1 also did not control it. From M1, that is why it came to main. Main should have controlled it now by writing what? try catch. They are not handling it in main also. So obviously it will go to the default handler. Default handler is printing the message now, normal. What message? It means main called M1, all that trace it will give you now. Are you following now? This is the flow now. But if you want that statement to, see, M1 also did not get executed, and M1 also is not executed. But finally also, and finally also is not getting executed. But see now what I'll do, just if I write this statement in finally, now you see all the statements inside finally will get executed. Program will terminate. Here it is terminating. But before the termination happens and goes to the caller, before the termination happens and goes to the caller method, the statement will complete execution. Which are the statements inside the finally. Understanding now? Before the, see, if an exception occurs, if you are not handling, definitely the control has to shift from what? Callee to caller method. Who is callee now? M1. Who is caller? Main. So from callee it has to go to caller. It will go. But before going, see here only it should shift control. But before going, this statement is getting skipped, notice that. But before the control moves from callee to caller, find all the statements inside finally will get executed. Notice. So this statement will be skipped because exception occurred. Okay. Catch block will execute, no doubt about it. That continues normally. But finally catch block will not execute. Reason is I am not writing the corresponding catch. Exception will occur, it will try with the catch, not handle, it will go. But before going, finally it will be executed. But this statement will be skipped because you are writing it outside finally. See the flow now? So this is where finally becomes very important now. See how it works. So see, it will jumble up the output, don't bother. Okay, so until and unless you get the correct output as you want, just run the program. Especially in exception handling, this problem will occur in Eclipse. Eclipse will jumble up the output. It will just jumble up. Otherwise it's normal only. Execution is normal. Only when you're doing the output it will jumble up. That's why don't bother. So begin main, begin M1, yes. Main begins, M1 begins. Try started. Result of division it is not printing. Result of division it is not printing. Yes or no? But inside finally is getting executed now. End of M1, did it get executed? No. If I want end of M1 to execute, what I should do? Put this statement also where? Finally, that's it. So all your statements inside finally will get what? Executed, guaranteed. See end M1, begin M1, inside try, inside finally, all the statements, not one, you can write 1000 lines there. So all the lines inside the finally block gets executed. So this is what I am trying to say now, clearly get the point. So when an exception occurs, okay, when an exception occurs, if you are not handling it, what will happen? Program will, this method, first see, how does the program termination happen, that also you should understand. If an exception occurs here, first this method will terminate, then what happens? That will give to the caller, then that, if you are not handling it there, that method will terminate. Understood? There also, if that main method terminates, program is terminating. If M1, M2 method terminate, it doesn't make any big issue. If M1, M2 and all terminate now, control will be coming back to caller itself. So fine now, are you clear? So when the exception occurs here, the object has been created. Since you are not catching it, before, see control has to go back there. But before going, what's happening? The statements inside the finally is getting executed. Are you clear this? This is one thing. Okay. So you saw the combination of what now till now? These two examples what I showed you. The first example in main and this example, you saw the combination of try, catch, finally. The first example also you saw the combination of try, catch, finally. The second example also you saw the combination of try, catch, finally. Okay, but I changed. What? The name of the exception I changed. Fine. Okay. So now by chance, if I don't write catch only, what will happen? Still it is guaranteed to execute. I will not write finally because same flow. Flow is same. Exception occurred. You are not catching it. So what will happen? Control will go. But before going, what will happen? It will execute. That's it. Same flow, but only you are not handling it. And generally we will be writing code like that. You know that why not? You should not write catch block where? Inside the same method. Why you will not write catch block? Because catching the problem is not an issue. Fixing the error is the issue. So that is why the combination what we will be doing is, here we will be writing what? Try finally, there you will be writing try catch. Understood? So that's how the combination will go. So we are talking from real life point of view, means in industries how you code. Okay, so you'll see this output now, again you'll get the clear idea. Okay, are you clear now? So what I'll do now is, I'll remove catch. Once I remove catch, what will happen? We are left with only try and finally. Understood? If exception occurs, the statements inside the try block is skipped. I know that. This statement is skipped. Okay. But finally will execute and then return. If I had not written in finally, what would have happened? Yesterday you saw, if any exception occurs, immediately will come what? If you don't write that code and try finally, directly it will go to the caller. See the flow. That's what you have to understand. See this output now. I'll remove the catch. See the combination. This is the first time you are seeing the combination of what? Try finally. More and more examples will make all your concept clear. So what I'll be doing now is I'll be removing means I'll be commenting now. Completely I will comment it off. See this. So is there catch inside your method now? M1 method? No. So where is the exception occurring? Here. Once an exception occurs inside your method, you know what happens. Control will immediately go back to the caller. But before going, what it will do? It will execute all the statements inside finally and go. Check this out. So all the statements inside finally will execute, but it will not print what? This statement will be skipped. And even the statement outside finally will be skipped. It will not be executed. So what is the value we are sending? Again 0. So once I send 0, see begin main, begin M1, inside try. Finally got executed now. How it got executed? Exception occurred. But before going it checks, is there finally block here? Yes. First it will complete this execution and then come to what? Main method. First it will complete this execution and then come to main method. And in main also, see end main is not getting executed because the exception occurred here now. Since you are not handling it, end main also will be skipped. It will go to the caller now. So like this the methods go on getting terminated. One by one they get terminated. Okay, main will call M1. M1 we can call M2. That flow I will show you. If any problem occurs in M2, problem will come back to M1. M2 is terminated. Then M1 will try to, if you are not handling it in M1 also, M1 will get terminated. Then again, after M1 terminates, it will come to main. If main is also not handling it, then main will get terminated. Like that flow will go. Main will call M1, M1 will call M2, M2 will call M3. Any problem in M3, M3 is first terminated. Control will come to M2. Again M2 is terminated. Control will come to M1. Again M1 is terminated. Control will come to main. If you are not handling anywhere, again main from main also will get terminated. But remember, M3, M2, M1 terminates, no big difference. Only method is getting terminated. But main method terminates, program has got terminated. So that is why we should not let the main program or main method terminate. So definitely you will be writing what? Try catch inside the main method. Definitely you will be writing it. Understood? Definitely you will be writing try catch inside the main method because termination of main method is treated as what? Program termination. Termination of M3, M2, M1 method is not big because only method is terminated. Clear? So these points you should understand very clearly now. Any questions in this flow now? Any questions in this flow? Okay, fine. So you are understanding the power of finally now. By chance, see here, I'll remove finally now. Exception will occur. See, I'll remove everything. I'll remove try also. If I don't write try finally, see in this example. I'll remove try. It's as good as writing some statements there. Yes or no? So what happens now? If an exception occurs here, all the statements are skipped inside this method. Yes or no? Same thing I was telling you. All the statements inside the method gets terminated. But I want to execute something desperately. So that is why I used what? Try and finally. If I want to execute something desperately, that is why I am using try and finally. But I don't want to handle the exception here. My intention is what? My pure intention is I want to execute some statements desperately. Okay, so that is my intention. But I don't want to handle the exception. So in these scenarios, you'll go with the combination of try and finally. Because I don't want to handle the exception here. Because exception will be handled where? In the caller. Because caller will call the method, callee method with proper values, because caller method has sent wrong values to this method now. So next time what it will do, it will send proper values to this method. See the flow if you want. None of the statements will execute because you have not written try also, you have not written finally also. So end main will also not execute. See, begin main, begin M1, inside try, that's it. Inside try, because okay, that is a print statement. Try is not there, that's a print statement. But after that, all statements are skipped now in the main, which an M1 method. Then afterward, control comes to main. Even end main has not got executed. Why? You did not handle it. Are you clear? This flow is clear for you? Okay, so it is guaranteed that all the statements inside the final is guaranteed to execute whether an exception occurs or doesn't occur. Any questions in this example? Clear with the flow? Any questions in this example? No questions? Okay, we'll go with the next example now. So what is that you learned in this example now? Whether an exception occurs or doesn't occur. Yes or no? Whether an exception occurs or doesn't occur, finally will execute. That's the concept. I'll give more examples. How to fix the error also I'll show you. Till now I did not talk about what? Using try, finally and fixing the error. I'll show you that very clearly in the next example. So but the concept what I covered in this example is whether an exception occurs or not. Finally is executed. Yes, 1 point. Now whether you have a corresponding catch block or not. Finally is getting executed. And if you use try finally, the statements inside finally block is guaranteed to execute. Okay. So all this you understood. Now we'll move to the next example. Yeah. Before we move to the next example, I'll put on question to you. So you know how to write a method, yes or no? And your method is, see, M1 is a method here. What is the method? We are learning how to write methods only. I'm just teaching you still how to write methods, because once you know how to write methods, then you can write logics. Clear? Okay. So your method will go on executing, and you know there will be definitely sometimes your method will get terminated now. See, generally, see, M1 method is there. Till now, you have seen what kind of executions you know. Till now, assume that there are 10 statements. Hello h is equal to new hello h dot m1. If I call this method without argument or with argument, that's secondary now. If I call this method, okay, all the statements inside your method was getting executed, yes or no? There's no doubt about it. Provided if you have used conditional statements, the flow was getting altered. Provided you have used conditional. What is conditional? If, else, switch case. So there the flow was getting altered. Otherwise, if you don't write anything, every statement inside your method was getting executed. You agree with this or not? Yes. But sometimes the statements inside your method will not get executed. You will not be using conditional statements. But there are some reasons why your method gets terminated. It will not execute. There are some reasons. Can you give the reasons why the statements inside your method gets terminated? Or what are the different conditions? Okay, what are the different conditions which cause? This is a very important interview question. What are the different conditions which cause the method to terminate, or which cause the method to stop execution? There are three things. One, an exception can terminate your method. See, three reasons why your method gets terminated. Remember this point. And based on that you have to handle now. Understood? There are three reasons why your method gets terminated. One second. Three reasons for method termination. The first one would be a return keyword. The second one would be if you use return keyword, it will terminate. Yes or no? I'll just show you. Okay, then the next one would be an exception. If an exception occurs also, it will terminate. Third, one more is there. Can you guess? If you want to terminate a method, there are three options. One is return keyword, it will terminate. Exception also will terminate. But this will kill your program itself. Exit method will not only terminates the method, okay, it will kill the program itself. See the difference now. See, there's a class called as hello. In this I'm having one method called as fun. One second. Yeah. There's a class called as hello, and in this there's a method called as fun. If I say return, look at the difference. So now return keyword becomes very important. How much you put effort for learning return, it will pay off here. Okay, see this. Hello, h is equal to new hello. You'll create the object. You'll call h dot fun. Okay, when you say return, you know immediately where will the control come? To the caller, to the immediate line. Here only it will be returned. Understood? And now somewhere an exception occurs while execution. What will happen? It will not come to this line. Where it will come? Supposingly this is try. If you have written lines here, catch, it will go to catch. If you use return, it will come immediately to this line. And all the statements will continue execution. If you use what? Return. But if an exception occurs, these statements are skipped. Yes or no? Because except you called the method, an exception occurred. So control will not come to this line now. Immediately all the statements inside this try block will be skipped and control will go to catch. So from there exception occurs, it will come to catch, but the statements are getting skipped. See the flow. So caller method will call the callee method. So callee method, some problem happens, it will come back to caller. But it will come to which line is the question here. If it is return, it will come to immediately next line. If it is exception, it will come to the catch block. See the flow. And these statements are skipped. I will be showing you this now. Clear? But if I use system.exit, what will happen? Forget, program only is terminated. Control coming to which one? Main is far off. Definitely it will terminate. But anyway, these are the three reasons why you can terminate, which will terminate the execution of a method now. Is there any other process which can terminate? No. Okay, all the statements in your method will definitely get executed. But any of these three things occur, then only your, which one? Method gets terminated. Okay, fine. So I'll show you an example now where I'll use return. I'll use return. As soon as I say return, what happens? Immediately control will come back to caller now. Yes or no? You learned return keyword pretty lot. As soon as I say return, immediately control comes back to the caller. Understood? But before coming back, if you want to execute some statements desperately, now can you write any statements in return, below return? No. Can you write any statement below return? What will happen? You get compilation error, unreachable code error. But I want to execute some lines. And blindly what you do? Put it in try finally. It will return. But before returning, what happens? Finally will execute. So look at the power of finally now. Exception is occurring or not, it is executing. Whether you have a proper catch or not, it is executing. Understood? You don't write a catch also, it will execute. Three conditions. The fourth condition is what? If you have a return keyword also, it will execute. So whatever happens, it is executing. First condition is simple condition. Whether an exception occurs or not, it will execute. Second condition is what? If you don't have a proper catch, still finally is getting executed. The third condition is what? You are not writing catch only, still it is getting executed. Now the fourth condition, you use a return keyword, still it will execute. Understood? So this is how the finally has been designed. Understood? It's very powerful. So it is guaranteed that all the statements inside your finally block will get executed. See the flow? Then we'll see how we use it in programming. Are you clear with this? So I'll be showing you the combination of what now? Return with finally. Should I clear all this? This example, no doubts now? So I have to teach you this. But it's the same. All are terminating. But the difference between these two termination and system.exit is here control returns to caller. Remember that. If you use return and exception now, control is given back to caller in these two conditions. But if exit happens, what happens? For these two, control is given back to caller, but system.exit, what will happen? Program terminates. It will never give back the control to caller. Remember that. Understood? Program will definitely get terminated. Wherever you use system.exit, forget the method. Program will only get terminated. But these two only will terminate that particular method. Yeah? Okay. So I'll get into the example now. You see this? You should be able to guess now everything. So it's a very important question now. Which are 3 reasons for method termination? Remember? Yes, now see this. See, I'll send some value. Now see, look at carefully. We are having a return type. Till now we are not having a return type. Our return type was what? Void. See, generally when you are writing a logic, you want to divide 2 numbers. So what will you do? You will write that logic in another method. All logic will not be written in what? Main method. And you will call the method. See, generally this is how you would like the logic to be written. PSVM. So what will I do? I'll say, means supposing I have written the code here. See, fun. F is equal to new fun. This is a class. I'll call the method f.m1 and send the 2 values. Definitely what our intention will be, that method should execute the logic and return me a value. That's how we expect division logic to be written. So if you want to write a simple division logic also, this much of process will be there. And you will be returning it. What is the result? You can expect here. Yes or no? What? See, you need a value. Yes or no? After division, till now what was happening? You are printing the value there only. Nobody will be interested in printing the value there. Actually they are interested in what? To receive the value. The result of the division you want to receive it. So we are writing it. So we go on to write now. Try, catch. Now see, I am catching it. If an exception occurs, what will happen? See the flow, clearly see the flow. If you send correct value, it will divide. No doubt about it. If you send correct value, it will divide. After dividing, now check this out. Okay. If you send correct value, catch value will not execute. Returns. Immediately control will come back to what? Main. So we are seeing the combination of exception, return. Both we are seeing. Just notice. Control will come back. Return. Catch block will execute? No. But I want some statements to execute. So that you put in finally now. It will return. There is nobody to stop it now. Return means immediately it will return. But before returning, what is happening now? If you want to execute some statements, put it in finally. Fine. If exception occurs now. If exception occurs, that time what will happen? From here, will it return the value? Now where it will come? Catch. It will come to catch. So what will catch do? It will try to execute. After executing, see, it will return the value. Compulsory you should return at 2 places. If it is executed successfully, also it will return a int value. If it is executed successfully, it will return the result of the division. If it is not executed properly, means if you have sent a wrong value, what will the value of z? 0. Then on the top you have initialized the value as what? 0. So if it is executed successfully, z will give that value, else it will give the value of 0. But whether an exception occurs or not, see, I want to print all this. Value of x is, y is, z is. Now, whether an exception occurs or not, my requirement is what? I want to execute some statements desperately. So it will execute. Are you clear this? If return also happens, it will execute. If exception happens also, it will execute. Any condition, it is not failing now. Are you clear? Let's see the flow. Are you understanding? Any questions? So code more, see more examples, you'll get the grip of what? Finally. In simple one example, if you take and see, you'll not understand what is finally. So that's why I'm giving you more examples. What is the value we have sent? Let us see. So we are sending 10 and 0 only. Yes, fine. Look at this now. Look at this. So begin try. Begin catch. Inside catch. So begin try. Begins and exception has occurred. So where it has gone now? Exception has occurred. So it will go to catch. After catching, what it will do? You are catching the exception. That's why it's not coming to caller. But I say return now. After catching, I am saying again what? Return. You have to return compulsory int value. Yes or no? Because what is the return type? Int. See, if I don't return, I'll get an error. So I have to return it. So I'm returning it. But once I return in either try or catch, if an exception occurs also it will return. If it doesn't occur also it will return. But I want to execute some statements now. So what should I do? Use finally. Yes or no? So what a easy approach you're getting. Whether an exception occurs or not, you want to execute. Whether a return keyword is there or not, you want to execute. So use it. So now exception occurred, that's why you can see inside finally also got executed and all the values are getting displayed, and you got the result also. What is the result you got? Int result is what? 0, because you sent a 0 value. And here program will not terminate. Why? Because you are handling the exception in the M1 method itself. So that is why the problem is not coming to main. M1 also will not terminate, main also will not terminate. Both are not getting terminated. Clear? Because you are catching it. Are you clear with this? Fine. Supposing I send a correct value. Supposing I send a correct value. See, begin try. Inside final. Now catch is not executed. Yes or no? So but begin try. It is dividing. It has to return na? It has to return a value. But before returning, what it is doing? Finally is getting executed. You use the return keyword now. So it is guaranteed to execute. So all this you cannot learn in main method. You have to learn it in what? Other methods only. Clear? Fine. Any questions here? So return keyword also will not stop the execution of what? Finally. Exception also will not stop the execution of finally. Now in this example, you should be careful when you are writing try catch blocks. See this very carefully. See, this is M1 method. Some of the common mistakes what you do in programming are, see, this is one of the mistake which you do. Your Z is outside, declared outside. Yes, it has to be declared out. It's a local variable, but declare it outside try. By chance, if I declare int Z inside try, you will get error. Why? Huh? That's all. It becomes a local variable. So use your variables properly. That's why I taught you scope of the variables. Do not come back to me for these silly reasons now. Understood? I'm not understanding this. Do not come back to me for these questions. Scope of variable should be very, very clear. Are you clear? See, I want to use a Z at 2 places. The only option what I can do is what now? Declare it outside try catch so that I can use it throughout the method. And if you declare it 2 places, what happens? Error. So that's why I declared it outside. I'm using it because I want return Z at 2 places. If you want to use it locally to try, write it locally in try. Scope, do not forget. Clear? Some more mistakes what you do. See, I'll change the name of this class to hello. It'll give error. Why? See the error. Type hello is already defined. Why? Hello class has already been used. Where you have used hello? See, in the previous example you have used no? What you have used? In the previous example, what was your class name? Okay, finally demo 1. Where did I use hello? Or okay, 1 second. In previous example I had used which class? Test no? So now I'll use. See, the name of the class I'll change it to what? Test. You try typing also you'll get error. Test has already been defined. So this is the problem in Eclipse. If you keep all the files in, all the classes in single file. If you keep all the classes in single file, you will face many problems, not one. Understood? See, already it is there. You have used it in another program. Test.class has been generated. Where it has been generated? In com.cluster package. Understood? So com.cluster package it has generated. Again, if I write class test, it is compiling. But test.class is there. Here it will not overwrite. It will give the error. It says test has already been defined. Better you give a different name. Understood? So when you code in Eclipse, be careful about all this. It was used previously, no? So that is why I was writing what? All the classes in separate file. This was the reason. There are many problems you get if you write all the code. But since you have a very bad practice of writing all this, I am showing you all your mistakes and why you get errors. Okay, so that if you understand what mistakes you are doing, you will not come to me for asking what? Silly doubts like this. Your only intention is what? I have paid money, asked out. Why you are not asking the questions for learning purpose? You only come asking doubts for what? Sir, class name I gave error, variable name I put there error. These are your doubts. It's ridiculous at this stage if you ask those kind of doubts. Are you clear with this? So I do not expect doubts at this basic level now. We are already in very high level now. Clear? Okay, are you clear with this? I'm showing all the errors now. Fine. Be careful with the scope. Okay, all this is done now. Any questions in this example? Which one? Any questions with return and catch, all that? So code properly. Till you code properly, you'll get only what? Silly errors only. No other big error there. Now finally we'll see on program now where we'll use try, catch, finally and fix the error. See this code now. Beautiful program. See, generally when you write methods, it will be so neat and clean. You will never catch the exception where inside the same method. So what you do while coding? Int m1, correct? You will not catch it. Why you will not catch it? Catching it is not a big issue. If an exception occurs in your method, catching it is very easy. Fixing the error will be a big issue. Yes or no? See, the user has given you some two values. Okay, see what is the class name I have taken? Notice Z I have taken. You are understanding why I am taking different class names? Understood? Class name is Z. So carefully notice. So don't you give the repeated class names. You'll get error. Fine. So next, when I say ZZ is equal to new Z, Z dot M1. Now, supposingly I have written this class. Who has written this class? I am writing the class. What are you doing now? You're going to use this class now. Why? Because logic is already been ready. So all you're going to do is what now? Use it. So how will you use it? Because you want the division result. Okay, so ZZ is equal to new Z, Z dot M1 you will call. Who is calling? You are using my class, you are calling the method. Remember that. So once you call it, you are sending the values. It is your duty to send correct values, yes or no? You have to send. Okay, so once you send it, okay, so what happens? I'll do the division. Understood? If you have sent proper values, what will happen? I'll calculate it and I will give back the result to you. Understood? But if you send wrong value, exception will occur here. But if an exception occurs here, if I catch it here, okay, fixing the problem will become an issue now. You can't fix the problem here, because if you want to fix the problem, what you have to do? Again rewrite the same. See, fixing the problem is nothing but what? Re-executing the logic with proper values. Fixing the logic is nothing but, fixing the error is nothing but re-executing the logic with proper values. So that will become very difficult. So what we do, we will never write try catcher. Just understand that much now. We will never write try catcher. If an exception occurs, it will come back. If it is successfully executed, it will return the value. But the difference you know now. If exception occurs, it will be going to what? Catch block. If exception occurs here, it will go to the caller. But where it will go? To the catch block. Okay. But if it is executed successfully, it will return. Where it will go? It will not go to the catch block. Instead, it will go to what? The immediate line. Where you called now, there it will go. See this flow now. So this is how you actually write logic. But whatever happens, I want to execute something. Put it in finally. See now, exception occurs also. Now the control is going to definitely terminate here. If it is executed successfully, return will happen. If it is not executing successfully, exception occur and control will go back. But I want to execute some statement. So what will I do? I'll put it in finally. Are you clear? Okay. So see, this is how actually you write the code. And now see how you write the code in main now. See, if I send ZZ is equal to null. Now see, I'll be, okay, now this is how you fix the error. ZZ is equal to null, int result is equal to 0. Now I'll create the object where I have created. I have not created the object of Z. So without calling it, Z is equal to new Z. 1 second. Okay, Z is equal to new Z, Z dot M1. So if I send wrong value, what happens? First we'll go with correct value. Correct value. Z dot M1. So 10 into I'm sending. So it will come now. It will divide. It is divided. What is the value of Z now? 5. It is going to return now. Is it going to return or not? Yes, it will return it. But I want some statement. So put it in finally. Okay, so now where will the control come now once it returns? This line only it will come. And all the statements are executed. Notice in return all the statements are executed. If exception occurs, these two statements will be skipped. Notice that. So now it will execute all this. Exception is not occurring. So catch block will not execute. Exception is not occurring. Catch block will not execute. Fine. End main will execute. See the flow. Are you clear? begin main, begin try. What is the value I sent? Begin main, begin try, returns. Once it returns, okay, inside finally. But why is try being printed twice actually?
Inside main also we have a try.
Huh?
Inside main also we have a.
Oh, inside main we are having, okay. So begin main, here is one try. So anyway, after that M1 is executed. So there that try prints. You can change it. Begin try in M1. Put maximum SOPs. Begin try in main. So you will understand the differences. Understood. So once it is done, so it will execute here. Okay. Then it is returning, but before returning, what it's doing? Finally is getting executed. And then the control will return. Control returns to what? Look at which line it is returning. Here. And you can see the immediate next line getting executed. Result of division. Inside finally, everything will get executed. End try. But catch is not executed. Catch is not executed. And end main. End main also will execute successfully. This is the condition when exception is not occurring. But by chance the user gives first time a wrong value. So see the flow now. Exception will occur where? Begin try in M1 will happen. This line exception occurs. Return will not happen now. Object has not got created, but termination happens. But before terminating, what will happen? Finally will execute. Control will come to main, but these statements are not executed. Immediately when an exception occurs, that's the difference between return and exception. Both are terminating. Return keyword also will terminate. Exception also will terminate. But return will bring it to the immediate line. But exception will bring it to the catch block. These statements are skipped. Here, after catching, what will I do? I'll write the code to fix the error. So we should not fix the error where? Inside the same method. We should always fix the error in what? Caller method. So here I'll call it with what? I'll ask the user to give proper values and I'll re-invoke the method. See, fixing the logic is nothing but what? Re-invoking the method with proper values. That's it. And program will be solved now. So result, see here, begin try. We are sending exception was here. Begin main, begin try in main. Begin try in M1, fine. Then it has gone to finally. Again, it has come to what? Catch. What is catch doing? Put SOP there, you'll understand. Okay. So then what happens? I think I should have put it here. One second, I'll put it here. Okay, now see the output. See, begin main, begin try in main, begin try in M1. But M1 fails to execute, exception occurred. So it finally will execute. So it is coming to what? Catch. Catch is where? In main. But again it will call what? M1. Since it's calling M1, what will happen? Again M1 gets executed. But again now value will return successfully. But this time it will execute finally and return. So you can see both the conditions. When exception occurred also, finally was getting executed in M1. M1 is called twice. First time exception occurred, still finally got executed. Again M1 was called, return is happening, still finally is getting executed. So this is how the method gets terminated. Understood? Yeah, and this is how you can control it. Now the only thing which can stop, are you clear with this doubt? Any questions? So you are seeing the power of finally now? Very powerful. So how to use it you understand. Now I'll show you. The only thing, I'll go back to the third example for demo purpose. Or you will go, okay, any program you go, that's your wish. Okay, now if I use system.exit, okay, or we'll see in the same example which you saw just now. The only thing which can terminate your program means where finally is not getting executed. The only place where finally is not getting executed is what? System.exit. You put it wherever you want. I'm putting it where? Okay, I'll put it in try block. Beginning only I'll put. Very important interview question. System dot exit. Any int value you have to pass. Give it. 0 I am giving. Now, your program is method is terminated. Fine. Which one? M1. Forget M1 now. Program only has got terminated. So the only thing which can stop the execution of finally is program termination. That is the power of finally. Program termination only can stop the execution of finally. Nothing can stop the execution of finally. So guaranteed to execute. See this flow now. So begin try in M1 will not execute this time. See, begin main, begin try in M1. So what is not getting executed now? Finally, that you concentrate. So in the interview they'll ask you very important question. What can stop the execution of finally? Only system.exit or program termination can stop the execution of finally. Clear? Fine. I'll just comment this. Fine. So all this okay. Again see here I'm using Z class. Where I'm using? Same program. Notice ZZ is equal to null. In the same program, notice Z is calling the method twice. Yes or no? Where in try block also it is calling. Catch block also it is calling. So that is why I have declared Z where? Outside. Be careful with local variables. Understood? When you are defining local variables, whether you want it inside try or outside try, decide. If you declare it outside, you can use it in all the place. If you declare it inside, you can use it only in that scope. Even not only in try catch, if else condition also. If you write a variable in if else condition, what will happen? If it is local to if, it is local only to if. Same rules are getting applied here. No difference. Are you clear? So be careful how you write your logics now. So till now you have not written logics and now you are getting tempted to write logics. I know. Okay. But the problem is you are not coded throughout your life. Okay. So that's why I insist on what? Coding. So without coding you can't learn anything here. Understood? And don't make a fuss about what? Silly compilation errors. Understood? That syntax I am getting read, this is I am getting read means now you don't come to me for that what? Questions. That you should be able to understand and debug now. Understood? You should be able to understand and debug it by yourself. You should have that ability now. Clear this? So any questions on finally now? The only thing which can stop the execution of finally is what? System.exit. So we have completed almost all finally. Okay, and you understood how to write the logics. Are you clear? Fine. Some points to be discussed about finally are, yes, now note this. We have completed this document yesterday. We'll come to finally now. Yes. What is finally? We'll start with the basics. Finally is a keyword related to exception handling in Java. So if you want to execute some statements without fail, write the code in finally block. The next point. Finally block is used to clear what? Method level resources. I come to this point. Rest all you understood. This one point is pending. I'll explain that to you. Okay. So whether the exception is raised in the first point, whether the exception is raised in try block or not, always finally will be executed. Finally is guaranteed to execute even if no catch block is found with try. If it is not there also it will execute. Then return statement in try or catch block doesn't stop finally block execution. Lastly, only system.exit can stop the execution of finally, and the different associations of how you use try catch finally are this I covered yesterday. Yes or no? Only try with catch. Sometimes you will use try with finally. Sometimes you will use what? Try with catch and finally. So which one to use when comes with experience. When you use only try catch, when you use try finally, when you use try catch finally, will come with experience to you. More examples are the answer for that. Clear? Any questions to here? So you are seeing the power of guarantee now. It will guarantee of what? Finally, it is guaranteed to execute at any cost. Fine. Now, all that you understood, the guaranteeing part you understood. Now the question is, why to use finally, where to use finally, when to use finally, these questions will come. Understood? So now let's understand what Java says. See, you know, there are two types of resources. One is what? Object level resource, and the other one is what? Method level. First of all, understand what is a resource. What is a resource? A resource is something which your application needs. Okay, like it might be a database connection. You have written application now. Okay, your written application. When you have written your application might need to read some values from the file. So that becomes a resource to your application. You might want to get the connection to the database. Now that becomes a resource to your application. You might want to connect to another computer. Now that becomes a resource to your application. You are going to develop applications. So these are the various kind of resources you'll be using. Many are there. Printer can be a resource. Like that, many resources will be there. Okay. So now obviously you want to use that resource in your application. So when you want to use a resource, so you have to write the logic. See, how do you write the logics now? Carefully see now how you are writing the logic. So you are seeing how to write the class now very clearly. So you'll write, see now, supposingly if there is an M1 method, if there is M2 method, so there are two methods or more methods, two or more, M3 method, all need the resource. Like example, okay, all the methods need database connection. Why they need? Example, see now, M1 method is going to insert a record into database. M2 method will delete a record from database. M3 method will, see, this will insert a record. This will update a record. This will delete a record. So all are having different logics. Now you can't write all the logics together and put it into one method, obviously. Okay. So what happens? We start writing this methods in logics into, see, values will come now. See, this is the, understand the concept here. This is the UI. User has submitted this. Once he submits this, now this is your application. This is your application. And this is your database. Database will hold the values permanently. So either you will insert it. If he's a first time user, you log into Gmail. First time user, what will happen? It will be inserted. Second time, what will you do? Sometimes you might update, change the value. Sometimes you might want to delete. Now, all logic will not write in one method, because if you write it in one method, what happens? All logic will get executed. So what we do? We split. Some logic in one method, some logic in another method, some logic in another method. So when required, we call the methods. Fine. But all the methods need database connection, no? So that is when what we do? We have to make it as object level resource, because the same thing you don't have to initialize in every place. So you can make it as something like an object level resource. Connection is one variable now, which will get you the connection. We'll be seeing it later. So, but that will be initialized where now? In the constructor. Somehow you'll initialize it. Connection is equal to, you'll get database connection. Leave it. How you get it, we'll see. Now here, what will you do? Here, what will you do? You will use connection and insert. Use connection and insert. Here also, you will use connection and update. But you will not be closing the resource anywhere. Yes or no? You are not going closing what? The resource. Which resource? Database connection. Okay. So everywhere you will use the connection and delete. Here also you will have this connection. So where will you release this resource? In finalize. Yes, you got it now. Public void finalize. So this is the place where you will be closing the resource. Object level resource. First understand what is the resource, then understand what is the object level resource. Resource means some resource required for your application. Object level resource means a resource which is required in more methods. So that's why, because see, I don't want the initialization to happen everywhere. See, every time I call the method, what will happen? Initialization will happen. Okay. So that's why what we are doing, we are splitting it like this. We want the initialization to happen only once now. So we do it in the constructor. So constructor is used for what? Initializing the object. And once the object is initialized, we can go on using that resource. This is what Java tells. Okay. But one more thing Java is telling, again, if you read the books, you'll understand more deeper if you go. It is many times the finalize method is not guaranteed to execute. Many times. So Java is telling what? Giving the support like this, and again it's only telling what? Many times the finalize method will not be executed. So that's why we never use finalize. All resources will be used where? At method level only. In methods only you will initialize the resource and you will release the resource. So generally the coding will be like this. How will happen now? What will happen now? I mean, this is coming to the difference between what? We are coming to a major difference now between what? Finally and finalize. We are coming to the difference between finally and finalize. You check out in Google now. Nobody will explain like this. Understood? Wherever you want to check, they give. It's very difficult to explain these two topics. So what we do, we'll not make it as object level. We'll make it as what? Method level only. We'll get the connection, use the connection, close the connection. Because finalize is very dangerous. We cannot trust it. So what we do? Get connection, use connection, and close connection. This is the logic you want to write. Same way in M2. So this is what developer goes on doing. Get use connection and insert. Here also get connection, use connection, and update. Like this it goes on. One more M3 method. Are you clear? So now see, at any point you want your resource to be released now. You got the database connection, but while inserting the record some problem might happen, while updating the record some problem might happen, but you have got the connection. And in that condition you want your resource to be closed at any point. So that is when what we do, See, this is how you write the code now. I'll just show you the sample code for M1 now. More I'll show you how to write logics. This is beginning now, how you want to see. This is the first time I started explaining how to write logics in methods. Okay, so carefully observe. You'll write try. What will you do? You get connection. In try you'll be doing what? You'll be getting the connection. And you'll be using the connection. But you have to close the connection. Yes or no? When using the connection, problem might occur. So that is when we use finally. And you will close connection. Now whether an exception occurs or not, don't bother. Your connection will be definitely closed. So all resource will make it as local. And that's how you will use finally. And it's not mandatory to use try finally everywhere. It's not mandatory to use what? Try finally everywhere. Wherever you're using resources and you want to execute something desperately, in those conditions you'll be using try finally. Okay, so now see, this is how you write the code now. Now the user will call the method now. See, this is the client code now. Class demo. Hello h is equal to new hello. H dot m1. So you'll call now. It will get the connection, it will use the connection, and before the control comes back to you, what happens? Connection will be closed. Now exception I am not handling there. Notice, I am not handling the exception. If any exception occurs, where it will come up? So that is why I will be writing this in try catch. If an exception occurs, I will catch it and call the method with what? Proper values. An exception occurs, I will call the method with proper values. So in try I will call it h.m1, I will call the method. If it is executed successfully, fine. It will use the connection, it will get the connection, use the connection, close the connection and come back if it is executed successfully. But if problem occurs, get connection, it is not able to use the connection properly, means some problem occurs while using the connection, while inserting the record or updating the record, some problem happens. Immediately control will come what? Exception will occur. If an exception occurs, control will come back. But before coming, what happens? Finally it will execute, it will close the resource and then comes back. But where it will come? To catch. All the statements in try will be skipped. And now catch will re-invoke the method with proper values. This is a rough idea I am giving you how the flow happens. Understood? So when you start writing logic, you will understand how to use finally exactly, because still we are not dealing with resources. We are only seeing the flow. When you call the method, what happens, how the finally gets executed, we are only seeing the flow now. So these concepts will become clearer to you when you start writing logics. It's going to be very simple now. Are you clear with what is finally now? And definite interview question, difference between what? Finally and finalize. And notice, finally gets executed every time you call the method, yes or no? How many times you call the method, that many times what is happening? Finally execute. I call M1, finally execute. Again I call M1, h.m1, you call it 1000 times, it will execute 1000 times. But finalize executes how many times? Only once. That too when? That too when the object is getting destroyed. And who will call finalize? Garbage collector. Garbage collector calls finalize before destroying the dereferenced object. Who will call finally? In fact, we call. When we call the method, finally gets executed. Understood? So there's a document I prepared, difference between finally and finalize. You can read it. Automatically the same points you tell in interview, you will clear it off. That's it. Are you clear with all this process now? So don't rely on finalize. Okay, always rely on what? Finally, for releasing your resources, because many times finalize will not get executed. Are you clear with all these points now? I written the code both the places. Okay, so now see, this is a rough I have given you. Once I complete throws also, still I'll write, make it very clear how to write logics inside your methods. Okay, any doubts now? So finally is used for what? Clearing method level resources. That is clear for you, but you want an example. Example, I'll definitely do it when I'm doing JDBC. You have to get the database connection. These examples all I'll be giving you practically only, and I'll be showing you how to close all the resources. Clear? All examples you'll see live. But see the flow now, how finally is getting executed. Yeah, what is the difference between finally and finalize? Some points are there. Okay, these are more than sufficient. You can mention this only in the interview. Okay, see this. Finally. Okay. See, finally is a keyword in Java related to what? exception handling. That's the basic difference. Okay. Finalize is a predefined method present in what? Class object. It's a method. There only first difference comes. Second, finally is used for releasing what? Method level resources. Finalize is used for releasing what? Object level resource. Third point, finally is used for writing what? Blocks. Finalize is a method which is overridden in subclass. You use finally for writing blocks, but there you are overriding. Next point, finally blocks gets executed many times whenever the method is invoked. Many times. This one, finalize, is invoked only once by the garbage collector before reclaiming dereferenced objects. Fine. Now Java insists to initialize and release all resources in finalize. I put as a note, notice this. Java insists, Java is providing that, and it itself tells what? Or developer use in this way. It insists to initialize and release all resources in finally block only. Okay, you should not depend on finalize for releasing resources, because there are many times this method will not get executed. 1 second. Insist to initialize. Okay, are you getting that point now? Initialize and release all resources where? Don't initialize and release in. Okay, 1 second. Java insists to release all resources in finally block. You can put it like that. Okay, because initializing also if you do that, problem will happen. Understood? So you only initialize it. Now finally, see, this is only very important interview question again to you. The interview question would be what? What is the difference between finally and finalize? Definite interview question wherever you go. Okay, definite interview question wherever you go. I summarized it very simple. Okay, I summarized it very simple way. Just see this now. They are not similar to each other in any way. Don't tell one is verb, one is adjective, one is noun. Understood? So from the Java point of view, they are different. Now first thing, final. Final is a keyword in Java. Got the point? Second thing, if used with a class, it cannot be inherited or it stops modification. If used with a method, the method cannot be overridden. If used with a variable, the variable has to be initialized only once. Next, finally is a keyword related to exception handling. It is used for cleaning up method level resources. Finalize is a predefined method in class object. It is invoked implicitly by the garbage collector while destroying dereferenced objects. It is overridden in subclasses to release what? Object level resources. This is the difference between finally and finalize. These points if you tell, more than sufficient in the interview. Clear? Still any questions on finally now? It's just on simple keyword, but you can see it is immense. See, some keywords are very powerful and they take a lot of time in understanding. Clear? Any questions? Don't think only finally is like that. Int also, on simple keyword, you have taken how many years to understand? You tell that first. After coming to a cluster, you understand what is the actual meaning of int. Understood? Otherwise what? I know int. Correct? Int, float, double, these keywords, they are so terrific and powerful. So they take a lot of time to understand. And obviously you are seeing these keywords for the first time. So obviously when you practice it, with practice you will understand all these things now. Yeah? So more is into coding now. And more you code, the more you can understand all this. Any questions? So finally completes. Understood? So next will be throws and throw. Two things we'll finish it off. That completes exception handling. Fine. No questions now? If your questions are there now, it will be what? Syntax errors. Any questions you are having, it will be syntax errors that you should be able to resolve by now. Clear? Programming syntax errors you should be getting now. More than that you will not get any errors. Clear with that now? Okay, fine. All day.